He honey Wednesday, Midgard. My name is Michelle from Throw What's Another Letter, and this is part 2 to 21 books I loved in 2021. I did not realize that this was going to need a 2-parter, but I was getting to about the 40-minute mark, and I was like, you know what, we're just going to do 2 parts, and so here we are. Alright, so number 11, Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Okay. I don't know why it took me. Okay, that's why. Okay, gotcha. I'm not doing this in order of, like, loved the book. It's an order of, like, I remembered that I liked this. Alright, so Act Your Age, Eve Brown. This is by Talia Hibbert. And, 5 stars all, like, just so many. This was very spicy. This was a lot spicier than I had anticipated it to be. And I wouldn't say that there's, like, a bunch of sex. It's more so, like, tension, like genuine sexual tension, and also the way that they talk about autism and neurodivergency, just absolute chef's kiss, amazing. I saw myself in Eve. Like, Eve is very flaky, very, like, doesn't stick to one thing. She tries out every little different type of hobby, and then she kind of just, which is very much me, which I have hobbies that I really love, and I'll just be really proficient for, like, a little bit, and then I'll just kind of, like, I really loved baking for a while. I really loved, like, I wanted to do the aesthetic journaling, like, be an aesthetic journaling girl, but it just, you know, you fall out of love with things, and here she is. She gets cut off by her parents, and they're like, we need you to, like, stick with something here, or you're cut off. And so she's like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? So she goes, and she drives off, and she's very upset, very distraught. She goes to this guy's B&B, and she sees that there is a chef hiring, and she's like, I could do that, whatever. So she goes there, interviews for the job. She gets the job. She's like, yeah. And she reverses, and she hits the guy. She hits her boss. And she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And she's like, you want to see my tits? He's like, no, I didn't. What? And she's like, do you want to see my tits? And, so he is very no nonsense. He is, I believe he's autistic, and, but he is everything is very controlled. Everything's very, it is at this precise moment we do this, and then we do this. And I loved seeing the routine, and, like, seeing his coping mechanisms versus Eve, where she, like, has none. She has no chill. And, or, like, she has a lot of chill, like, what's the word? Many thoughts, head empty, right? And so you see her kind of, like, struggle a little bit, but then also, like, you see the, like, the sweetness and the like, the banter between the two of them. Oh, I loved it so much. It was amazing. Go read it, okay? Just, if you don't read any of the other books, read that one, okay? Next we have Sleeping Around. No, it's not about sex. Sleeping Around is actually written by one of our own booktubers, Morgan Vega. And here's the cover. I did promotion for this, actually, where I talked about it, and I don't know if I did a video. I don't think I did a video or not. I think I did an Insta post. I made, like, a journaling layout for it and everything. But this was really good. Okay, so this talks about so I think I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars, and this talks about the foster care system. It talks about college, and, like, some of the struggles, the real life struggles that you have in college, where you're, like, maybe you're not making friends right away, and maybe you're not, like, fitting in right away, or you wanted to get into this dorm, but that didn't happen, so she's floating around, and the whole thing is like it's okay for you to ask for help. A lot of college students don't ask for help, or they think that they have to have the world on their shoulders. I know I did. I ended up dropping out of college because I was just having the worst mental health that I ever had in my life. Like, I was not keeping it. I was not together. I was not me. And so but so her whole plan was to get into this music program. She had everything all figured out. She gets there and, oh, no, actually you didn't get this room. You're not going to be in this room. You're not going to be in this dorm. So you're going to have to try next semester. And she's like, where am I going to be in the meantime? And she's like, oh, you're just going to have to stay with your friend. And so she's staying with her newly made friend that she had. And oh my God, this is the only thing I was probably upset about, was that there was no consequences for how much of an absolute twat that this other person was towards her. Like, this other roommate was like MMA fighter, judo, something, like just an absolute like bitch, like just a bitch. And then so she also like tries to make other friendships and fit into other places so that way she can like just like live her life. And then she also is a musician. She plays a violin, which there was not enough violin in this that I wanted, but she plays the violin. And it's like the violin that she has been like her violin this whole time, and so she has a lot of attachment to it. It also talks about like the foster care system, and she has this pre-made family that, you know, this person has been here for X amount of years, and this person has been here for X amount of time, and this little kid keeps running away, and like they can only find her at certain points. And also talks about like infertility, and it touched me. Like, I cried because I remember like seeing my little cousin going through foster care, and like he was in a long-term foster care, but it was still just like a lot, like not getting to talk to him or see him or anything, and we don't have a good relationship now even, but like it's just the foster care system sucks, you know. So I really enjoyed seeing like some parts of joy in this book. Next we have The Heart Principle by Helen Wong. Okay, so this was one of the books that, oh yeah, no, it wasn't this one, it was another one, but this one got stained a little bit underneath. So if you go back to my vlog, you'll see that I read this while I was in Florida. And if you go to Margaret's vlog, you'll actually see that she read this while she was also in Florida. We read it together, and Bethany had read it like a week or so before that. So she already knew what was happening. She already knew what went down. She was just, watching us writhe. And then I was watching Margaret writhe, and it was a good time. I really enjoyed reading this. It is very hard-hitting, though. You would think, like, oh yeah, I've read a Helen Huang romance. Very happy, very, talks about autism and Asperger's. It talks about, like, this and blah, 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 blah. No. I wish I had... Okay, I'm thirsty. Hold on a second. So this takes your favorite character... And I don't want to talk about it. But we will talk about Anna. Anna is I believe she is also a violinist. I read a lot of books about violinists this year. 2? 3? 2. There was a lot of music books this year for some reason, from what I can tell. But anyway, so she's a violinist, and she went viral for something that she did, and now she's trying to, I believe it was like she has to audition for something or another, and she's having a burnout. She's going through some kind of burnout, but like she has so many very high anticipation from like her relatives or from like other people, and then her boyfriend is like, oh, why don't we try an open relationship? And she's like, okay, and he is just absolute trash. this guy, there's things that he didn't want to kiss after oral, and there were some things that he didn't want to do, and he just yeah. So he said, aside from you, I've only been with one other person. If we're going to get married, I want to do it without regrets. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out. Does that make sense? And she says, you'll be okay if I sleep with someone else? I ask, hurt and not even sure why. He makes it sound so reasonable. He smirks slightly. I don't think you'll sleep with someone else. I know you, Anna. And I was like, boy. I just... Anyway, so she meets Quan, our sweet boy, Quan, and, sparks fly, and, it is also very hard-hitting because something happens in her family where she has to become a caretaker, and that really pulled at me as well, because there's, you see, the diminishing of someone's health, and it was a lot, okay? Without giving away too much, read this, okay? If you can take it, read it. But if not, but no, seriously, if, you've seen one of your family members, die from something, or if you've seen that their health, slowly decline, or you've had to take some kind of caretaker position, don't read this without looking into trigger warnings or anything like that. It was it can be the last 100 or so page, 100 and it was around 150 or something. There's a part, it's a part 2, and it's very it's a lot, but I loved it. I still enjoyed it. I cried multiple times. Okay, so what do we got next? Number 14. Okay, this was the book that we read for Vaultathon, and that was Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, and I loved this. Okay, so this is a, what do I call this? So this is about... it's not hate to love. Okay, so the main character is she writes fan fiction, and she writes fan fiction, and she also watches the show. Let's say they mostly compared this to Game of Thrones, but so the show itself is a retelling TV show, I guess, about it also touches on the the way that Game of Thrones messed up the last season. It's kind of like that, where they're going the show is going in a direction that the male love interest, he does not like it, the way that it's ending, the way that it's going. He's just this was absolute bullshit, but he still sticks with it anyway. And he is online one night, and he sees this female cosplayer, and she's being harassed by bullies because she is plus sized. And so there is a lot of talk about the way that fat bodies are viewed by the male gaze, or by toxic fucking ass men, just gross ass men, and the way that it also is viewed by even your family, where there's a couple moments where her mom says something, and if you're fat, or if you have always been fat, or you've heard some of your family members or somebody say something a certain thing to you, and it just but she's a queen, she's confident, she doesn't care that she's fat. And the way that the characters, the way that they know each other is that he writes fan fiction of the show that he's in because he's so fed up with how it's ending. And it turns out they've been talking to each other for some time, but as they don't know who each other, they don't know who they are in real life. outside of fan fiction. And so there is like some conflict of interest. And there are moments in this book where you see like the layers peel back, and I loved that, and I loved seeing that. So this was a good one. I enjoyed it a lot. I say that with every book, but it's true. I enjoy reading romance so much more than when I was like, I don't know. I've always really enjoyed reading romance, but more so in 2021 than probably any other year, aside from when I was like 16 or 17. I was really into those like kind of like the Harlequin romance, but like the investigative romance, like the more the like investigative romances. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, like cowboy romance with like a mystery aspect. They have to rescue a girl, or like there's not a baby, but there's like they're from Texas, or like something like that. Sign me the frick up. Like next we have Planet Barbarians. Oh god. Okay. So I didn't I read this in September. Did I read it in September? Oh my god. No, actually, no. Yeah, no. Yes, no. Yes, no, yes. October? God, I don't even... Okay, so I read this just on, like... It was on my library, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna maybe read it a little bit. And I was like, ugh, kind of having problems reading this. Like, I have no idea what's going on. So I was like, you know what? It's only X amount of money on the thing right now. I'll just... Why not? Also because I think one of my friends read it, and they liked it. And I can't remember which friend it was, but I was like, you know what? I'll read it. I'll give it a shot. I actually really enjoyed it. Like, there was like a brief monster phase on Twitter. Like Wheezy and Rachel, and I think a couple other people that were really into monsters. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I did enjoy it. I really liked it, actually. I want to read the second one. I don't think I'm gonna like go down the entire rabbit hole of the 22 book series, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. As long as my library has them, then yeah, sure, I'll go for it. But I guess I could say I more so enjoyed Vechtel's point of view rather than what's her name, Holly. I think it starts with an H, right? I actually don't even remember her name. But I liked Vechtel a lot. And I liked some of the things that he was saying. And, like, you know, you've seen people, like, review it, like, for fun and for views and things. But I actually legitimately did enjoy it. So, next we have... Ooh, okay. So this one's a nonfiction. Was probably, like, my first nonfiction of the year. And that was Notable Native People by Adrienne Keane. And this was sent to me by... Penguin, I want to say. Oh my god, I'm gonna go to hell for not knowing who sent this to me. I think it was Penguin. I got it in a box, or a bag, a package. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. It does not say. Oh shit. Yes, it does in the back here. Oh, yeah, Penguin Random House. Okay, so I did get this from Random House. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I also discovered Frank Wong from this. If you have never heard of it, go to Spotify. I'll link it down below. And it is What Made... We'll just play a little bit. Can we do that? Will I get copy stricken for that? It's really good. So, this has different types of natives in it, and indigenous peoples, I guess you could say also. Like, you have Jordan Marie brings 3 white horses. Daniel, Cool Wichasa Lakota, a track star. She's a runner, she's a track star. Then you have Aaron Yazzie, who is Dine. Bobby Jean Three Lakes, who is Standing Rock Lakota, Cheyenne River. I'll put this over here. There we go. Right? You also have, I'm going to look up Frank Wong and I'll find him here. But there's like so many people in here. Oh yeah, Maria Tallchief, who was Osage, was a ballerina. I think you can find some of her clips on YouTube, I think. And just like talking about in all the ways that, like you have Jim Thorpe here. You just all the ways that representation really, really matters and really, like we really need to remember that. Okay, here's Frank Wong. He is Chichanhu Lakota. And here is, I think I found the song here. I gotta find it. I really should have found this before. Here we go.
Personally, I should prefer to see the Aborigines. And the Indians, too. And the Indians, too. This should be the most enlightening. What makes the red man red? Teach them all about red man. What made the red man red? What made the red man red? What made the red man red? What made the red man red?
Okay, but you should actually, like, there's a whole album. It's called The Bridge by Frank Wong. I've been playing, like, it was on my on repeat. Like, that's how much I was listening to this song. It's so good. But there's so many different people that are in this nonfiction that you just need to read it. It's quick read. The artwork is beautiful, so just, what are you losing? Alright. Next we have Res Dogs by Joseph Brushak. I listened to this via audiobook and I really I had it on like 1.5. Usually I'm like 1.6. I don't know how Bethany does it with like her, I think she said like 2.5, almost 3. I'm like, girl, what? But she listens to audiobooks like really fast. But so this one I listened to audio. Look at the cover. Isn't it cute? Can I shield it from the... Here we go. Okay. See, look at that. Aww. So we have Malian, and I think the dog's name is Maverick, or does she name it? Gosh, I can't even remember. It was so long ago. But okay. So Res Dogs by Joseph Brushak takes place during the pandemic, like during the initial beginning of the 2020 pandemic, and really talks about she had to stay on the reservation with her parents because her grandparents, because I believe her parents are doctors, and so she being taken care of by her grandparents all while her parents are dealing with the pandemic in the city. And also she makes friends with this res dog, and her grandpa also tells her like a few stories about what it was like after the residential schools. And I believe this takes place in the family lives in Boston, so it's just like up and over, and so it talks about that. It also brings up like forced sterilization and like a few other like really deep subjects that are probably a lot for like a little kid to process. But Malian is actually like, I think she's like 12 or 13 or something like that. She is like a young age, but this just like really cemented her, like her age does not play a part in it. I think she's like 12. I would say she's like 12 or 13, but she's very resistant and she's very thoughtful and methodical, because there is a part where her little friends that she plays with, and they're like, they sneak out in the middle of the night, and they're like, come out and play with us, and like, let's go do stuff. And she's like, okay, but no. She's like, what if you guys are sick, and then you'll get me sick, and then I can get my grandparents sick, and then my grandparents could die? Like, no, that's stupid. Go back to your house. Stay inside. You know, she thinks about that, she thinks about that kind of stuff. And also there's like a social worker, and I love the way she stands up to that social worker. Like, it just, but, like, the way that Malian is talked to by her grandparents, and the way that her grandpa approaches things, and like, she's trying to get an education whenever the internet decides to work and things like that. And it was just a lot about like treasuring the time that you have with your grandparents, and like really the way that elders play a part in our lives, but also like the way animals play a part in our lives. And also dealing with, like, the pandemic and what that is like for, like, certain Native communities. And Joseph Brushak just, like, hits it out of the park every single time. Like, just really just tugs on my heartstrings. He just knows how to write it, Next we have is one of the best ones, I would say. And that is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulay. And oh my gosh, I read this for the Feminist as Fuck book club, as well as the November segment of the Avengers Initiative reading challenge. And I loved it so much. What I really loved about this was that the main character, Donis, she is both nerdy and she's athletic. She is a hockey player, and she's also like really smart with botany and like science, like environmental sciences and stuff like that, and like herbs and things like that. But then she also takes place in this like investigation after her friend is murdered. And it also talks about like missing murdered Indigenous women. It talks about like there is sexual assault in this as well, and rape, and it's a lot, but I really enjoyed it. It also talks about like finding your identity, and there is like a little bit of like fat phobic comments. Kim actually pointed that out when we were talking about it. We read I think she was talking about it in the Feminist as Fuck book club. You should go check that out. But I really enjoyed this. Like, also I was like, I noticed that their skin tones are actually different. If you didn't notice that, that's, yeah. Please go, if you have the spoons, please read it. Okay, this was so good. Angeline Boulay just like hit it out of the park. I got to promo this one too. That was one of the main highlights of 2021, was just getting to open that box, and like I got the lipstick, and it was like a big package. It was like huge. And then there was also like a lipstick. There was a candle in it, and a in the book, as well as like a promo code, or you could read the ARC. And I also gave a copy of this to my mom, and she really enjoyed it too. And it was just like, it was very Ojibwe, like very just unapologetically Ojibwe, unapologetically Native, and I enjoyed it so much. I think Danny from like a bunch of people got to put had a blurb for it too. So I will go check that out. This one has author blurbs on the inside of it, but I do know that like my friends did talk about it, and it's so wonderful. Just please go read it. It's one of my favorites. Then we have Love Sick Braves by Pamela Sanderson. Yeah. So, we read this for November for the, for the November segment of the Indigenous Romance read-along, we had read Heartbeat Braves in March, and then we were reading Lovesick Braves like 6 to 7 months later. As you can see, the covers kill me so badly. She was not able to get graphics for native. There were native couple graphics. Personally, what I think should happen is that I think that she should get these redone by a native artist for like an illustrated cover. That I would just love to see that personally, like a cover that's from that specific tribe and to like actually. So this one I think is about, their names are like Theo and, oh god, I can't remember their names. But this was also kind of like it's not a hate to love. It's, oh gosh. I wouldn't even know what to call it. But there is a one bed trope that I really loved and I really enjoyed. So you do get there's only one bed from this. And, go check out Erin from Erin's Library. Erin is like champions these books, and I personally am still like trying to figure out how much I really like her. If I don't like it, I'm on the end. I'm on the fence. Like, there's parts of it that I really love, and then there's parts of it that I don't. But this one focused more on like outreach and focused more on like like doing good. And I really love that. And it also focuses on, like, the way that people approach, like, Native people. And, like, the way that Native people are approached and, like, asked to do things. And, like, there's only a certain way that some people want to show Natives. And it's, like, that's not the truth at all. And so I did enjoy that as well. And it also talks about, like the main character like sticking up for herself and like placing boundaries, and I really loved that. And I can't wait to read the next one because apparently it leads up to like one character, like two characters like getting together or like something like that. I can't remember, but I did enjoy that part. Like I said, I really wish that the covers were different. They kill me. Number 20, We Are Water Protectors by Michaela Good, illustrated by Michaela Good, written by Carol Lindstrom. And this is a beautiful book. This is a beautiful children's book. This is in Target for like $21.99 or $25, something like that. It's expensive in there, but it's worth it because look at this watercolor. I talk about this every time. I think I talked about this in one of my other videos where I was like, oh my god, just look at the artwork. I do remember just like opening up. Look at this. Talks about the pipeline and water protectors and mini wachoni, you know. Because water is important. Water is sacred. Water is a living, breathing thing. You know, and we have to protect it. It's once we don't have that, we don't have anything, you know. So it's important to me. It should be important to you. You know, you have to fight for what you believe in. And that's what this talks about. Like, even though she's a little girl, she still fights for what she believes in. And the last but not least, which obviously it would be a David Haskell Wombly Wyden book, but number 20, we have Spotted Tail. So I got this in Watertown at the D something. I'm gonna find the name for it, but it was this quaint little bookstore in Watertown where they actually had like actual good books. It's called DDR Books, and the owner, like the guy, he's actually really nice. He was like, yeah, so that book that you picked up, he actually wrote like another book, and it's a very thrilling crime novel. And I was like, oh, honey, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I was going 50 miles a minute, and this poor man, he was like, oh, that's really cool that you that you've spoken to him before and that, you know, you have that kind of relationship. And I was like, yeah, boy. Like, he was like, yeah, I'm hoping that when his next book comes out that he will speak here. And I'm like, when? Sign me up. Let me know. I'm going to be here. The day that I get to meet David in person, I will just be the happiest person on earth. That's her name, Erica Worth. She has a book coming out sometime next year, I think. I'm super excited for it. But anyway, okay, so look at all of this. Okay, this is why I don't play the violin, because I would just bonk everything. So it has, like, talks about, like, native, like, buffalo and spotted tail. Oh my god. I'm having issues. Look at this. Okay. I'm gonna show you some of my favorites. The name comes from a scary event a long time ago when a large fire raged on the prairie and the Shichanhu people had to leap through the flames to escape. Oh, it also has ledger art, which if you don't know anything about ledger art, you should check it out. It's so cool. Ledgers were like one of the only ways that natives were being kept track of because of their trading and things like that. See? Look at that. Oh, this beautiful fucking ledger art. Oh my god. And it also talks about, like, residential schools and stuff. He had, Spotted Tail had children that went into residential schools. So, it is an educational tool for children, but, you know, adults will get a lot out of it, too. See? So, yeah, this is, like, one of my favorites. I gotta read this again, because I really enjoyed it. And, so yeah, this is the big old stack that I got of books that I actually own, that I actually read. Not gonna lie, 2020 was a farce. There were a lot of books I didn't read that I just rated because I still wanted it to get proper recognition. But for the most part, most of my I did read. But look at this. I'm proud of myself. I'm not going to have fun putting all this back, though. That's for sure. So that was the 2021 books that I enjoyed in... The 21 books I enjoyed in 2021. So I gave you a few names to look at, a few books to like. I know it's really late, but I don't really care. So now I'm going to have to fix it and make a part 2 thumbnail. And I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you are still bundling up and like staying safe and wearing your mask and stuff, because it's pretty gnarly out there. Also that you should read Indigenous literature, not just in the month of November, but in all the months. I did see a lot of people reading Native books in 2021, but I did see a lot of like people approaching me about certain things and like kind of just thinking that they can talk to me any way they want to, which is why I have a boundary video up, and it made me really uncomfortable. It wasn't just in the last few months, it was like, you know, since I've been on this thing where some people talk to you like your best friends or something. It's like, no, we're not best friends, okay? Like, I don't know you, I don't talk to you on a daily basis, I don't talk to you even on a semi-weekly, semi-monthly basis. This is the first time we've had a conversation, you're asking me like 6 different questions that are really weird. Nah. Make sure you're not doing that to other people too. Like, it's just uncomfortable. That looks scary, that looks like a shadow, but it's not, I promise. See, it's just a thing. Anyway, so, like I said, hope you're doing well. I don't really have any kind of, like, life lesson. Everything's going, I wouldn't say everything's going well, because it's just mostly, like, a lot of things are kind of, like, You know when you're playing Tetris and like everything kind of starts to stack up and you're like, oh shit, that's kind of what life is like right now. Thankfully, no one is dying at the moment. I still have a sick family member, and there is some like other stuff that is happening, but for the most part, everything has been pretty chill. Also, happy Valentine's Day. My auntie made this basket. You can go check out my TikTok, and I kind of showed you a little bit what's in there, but there were like some cookies and things like that, and then there's candy and everything. So, good times. No alcohol required. As for like books, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I want to read in the month of February, and I don't know, it could change because I tend to do that where I'm like, I want to read this and this and this and this. I just want to read everything, honestly. So, that was it for me. I hope you're doing well. And, do I have any other thing? I do not. I just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. But I feel like a lot of people right around this time, you know, they're like doing really good, and then something happens, and then they're like, oh, which is what happened to me. My only plan is to go up from here. And 2021 is great, but I hope 2022 is better. I hope nobody dies, you know. Don't want anybody to die, because there was already some pretty tragic shit that happened already. So that's all I got, and I hope that you pick up some of the books I talked about, because, you know, I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I watched so-and-so's book, like, I watched so-and-so's, you know, thing for 2021, or I watched this person's favorite books of blah, 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 but, I just see a lot of, like, whiteness. I don't see a lot of diversity, so, like, I did list, like, a good amount of, like, BIPOC books in this. I also listed a lot of Native books in this, and that's, like, you know, my thing. And so I'm hoping that the takeaway is that you read more of Indigenous literature, as always. I mean, duh. But these authors, not just Native authors, but, yeah, Native authors, but these authors work really hard to put out they're putting out a piece of themselves out into the world, and their hope is that you pick it up at a bookstore, or that you pick it up online, or you pick it up somewhere, and that you enjoy it just as much as they enjoyed writing it, and just as much as they've enjoyed, like, putting it out into the world. And so my hope is that you'll see the passion that I have about some of these books, and then go see the passion that these authors have about their own books, and that you will pick them up. Not just because of something that I said, but because of something like, you know, I don't know how many of my friends read this, you know. I know that I haven't seen Spotted Tail on a few people's timelines. I've seen, you know, there's some of these I've seen from a lot of different people, but there's a lot of other ones I haven't seen at all. So that's it for me. I will speak to you later. I don't know what I have going on for me next week. We're winging it, I think. So I hope that you're doing well. Seriously though, like, take care of yourself, drink some water, make sure you're eating like a meal, you know, not that some of that stuff shouldn't count, but you know, if it was like, you know, that little macaroni and cheese thing that you popped in the microwave and you ate that and that was your thing, that counts, because like, it'd be hard out here, you know. So I'm gonna leave now, go read some of these books, and come back to me when you've read them. Well, I mean, you can come back anytime, but like, you know, I mean, like, you should like talk to me about it too, you know. I like seeing that. I'm gonna go. It's gotten too complicated. Talk to you later. Bye.